All right, welcome to the Wilson Basketball Family Reunion discussion, coaches and mentors to the game. We're joined by some of the best coaches and mentors to the game in Northeast Ohio. We've got Romeo Travis, we've got Sonny Johnson, we've got Willie McGhee, and we've got Jason Kent. And we're just here to talk about what the game of basketball means to you guys and how you guys are influencing it. So I'll start with Romeo and Willie because, I'm from Akron, right? I got to ask the Akron questions. You played with LeBron James, and now you're...
LeBron played with me for 4 years.
LeBron played with you. You're right.
Okay,
You're right.
he played with me for 4 years.
When you look back at that time, what has that time at St. V and playing in Akron, how has that been able to influence how you're able to coach these kids in the next generation?
Well, honestly, that takes me back to Coach Drew Joyce and what he meant to me at a young age. Obviously, opportunity to play with Bron and play for the Northeast Ohio Shooting Stars, but that traveling and that experience changed and helped shape my whole life. And him being a mentor of mine and really stepping up and being a father figure to kids that didn't have fathers. That was an example that I'm trying to lead today.
Romeo, how about you?
Same thing. I'd like to reiterate that Coach Drew really opened our eyes to how to be a dad, how to be a husband, how to be considerate of others, and how to be a servant. A lot of people want to be served, but they don't want to serve. And Coach Drew, he served relentlessly, unapologetically, and with very little gratitude from us as players because, he was pulling this way, we was pulling the opposite way against him. And he still just drug us to where we need to be as men. Off the court was one thing and on the court was another, but off the court he really helped shape us to be better men.
And Jason, we're talking about Northeast Ohio and basketball. For you, what does that look like? What does the development of these kids and maybe into college and as they're progressing through their basketball life, what does that look like here in Northeast Ohio and then across the globe when they reach out and branch out?
Well, let me say this. One thing I'm really big on when I'm talking to parents, when I'm talking to players, I always say you got to trust the process. It's a process. And a lot of parents and kids don't understand there's a process. We talk about a ladder to success. You have to be good. We say you start with okay. You go from okay to good to great to phenomenal. And with all those steps, what do you want to sacrifice to be successful? And I think that's the biggest part that parents and kids don't understand is the sacrifice. You got to sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And, everything is so quick. But getting kids and parents to understand, you've got to put the work in. In anything, you want to play college ball, you got to put the work in. You want to be a good high school player, you got to put the work in. But you want to be a pro and a champion, you got to put the work in. But what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get there?
How much do you see sacrifice in your kids? You're Northeast Ohio. You're coaching these kids. You've got a large group of them, that you're working with. What does that lesson in sacrifice look like when you're talking to them and you're trying to get them on that page?
Well, it depends on what. I'm sorry about that. The kids you're dealing with. Some people deal with. I wasn't lucky. They made me want to play for Drew Joyce, to be honest. Just hearing them talk, but the sacrifices. It starts with kids. You parents really investing in the kids and understanding how much they really want to play the game, and if it's just something they really want to do, as far as basketball or just period, anything in life. So I think it all comes together when you talk about sacrifices with the kids. It also has a lot to do with the parents because you can't really have the success you want without having strong family support, parent support.
Now for you guys, is there a moment when you're working with a kid that hey, we got to buckle down, you got talent, and how do you get that out of them? How do you pull that talent when you see it?
Well, for me, whether they play, if they're an athlete or non-athlete, that's trying to help them be the best person they can be, trying to find out what they're passionate about. Now, everybody want to dribble a ball or throw a ball or be a rapper or stuff like that, but that's not everybody's path. That's what everyone sees, but that's trying to sit down and get to know the person and help them understand what their God gift is. Everybody can't do what LeBron does or Romeo or Sonny was able to do, but you can be the best who you are, and that's trying to get to know the person. Each kid is different. I don't coach, I don't mentor groups, I mentor individuals, and that's really us trying to get to know the person. I was told at a young age, kids don't know how much you kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I truly believe that. It takes me back to, I'm not going to run through a wall for you if you don't care about me and who I am.
Second guess that. That's 100% true. They got to really know you care. And then sometimes you're dealing with different type of kids. I'm dealing with kids, maybe I might have a kid that got strong family support. I might have a kid that has a lot of talent that doesn't have that support, but I see that he can reach his goal and be a little better or make it out. Like I'm from 80th and Cedar, and I probably was the first one to go to college in my house, and I wanted a way out. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when you can see you got people that's mentoring you and letting you know you can get out and what to do. Like I always tell kids, take advantage of the game, take advantage of basketball, and it can take you different places. Like, look where I'm at now, sitting here with you good people. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to reiterate that, what you said. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, on the east side. And, I played at Worley with Lawrence Funderburg and some really good players. And one of the biggest things for me is that you don't have to be a product of your environment. You got to strive for more. Just because you're in a situation that seems dark and gloomy doesn't mean that have to be your future. I'm real big on vision boards. You got to write it down. You got to put those pictures out there. Say, this is where I want to be. Just because speak it into existence. And I think that's the one thing that the kids are lacking, is that they're not speaking it into existence because they see the rappers. They see quick money. And I always tell kids, like you said, invested in. I said there's two different types of success. There's cloud money and there's rain money. Well, clouds, when it rain's going to stop, but there's always a cloud in the sky. So we want to work to the cloud because there's always something there, no matter what it is, no matter how small it is, And when we looking at kids, our first thing I'll ask them is, says, little things matter. If you don't think little things matter, go to bed with a mosquito up under your covers, just one. What's going to happen? That mosquito going to tear you up, but that one mosquito. So the little things matter. So let's grind and work on the little things.
How about you? I mean, when you're looking at basketball, it's a culture too, right? Basketball is so about culture. But what does that culture look like moving forward in the future to make it so that these kids that you're talking about and you're mentoring, they are able to take these lessons away and really grow that next generation and make it perpetual and not just something really short-lived in that moment?
I think we got to let the kids grow into their own selves. And us as the older generation, we oftentimes say, I did it like this, or this was my way, or this is how we did it. And we cannot force our type of thinking on this new generation because they're different than us. They grew up different than us. So we have to meet them where they at. So to speak, and kind of let them grow into their own space while keeping them constructive criticism, while giving them the things that we need, but letting them grow in their own time and in their own way.
I think a lot of kids, when you're mentoring and you're helping out and trying to put kids first, a lot of kids don't get it and appreciate you till later. So I think that's a huge point. Like, I have so many of my kids, when you try to tell them, like high school wise, it's the best time of your life, enjoy it, you're not gonna get this time back. They don't get it until a couple of years down the road. So long as they can learn from it and then hopefully be able to teach what you taught them later on, as long as they get it, that's all that really matters.
I guess it makes me think of two things. I think it's resources out there. I think it's adults and mentors that want to help, but I also think it's important for kids to accept the help. I think sometimes you run into kids that are ashamed of where they are and not understanding that everybody has, or some people went through the same struggles, and the ability to receive the help or the resources that's out there are things I think our children face day to day. And then I think working with kids, I think helping them understand consistency. I think that's important. I think when I'm in your life and what we're working on, when I'm not there, are you still doing those things? Are you being the best person? Are you treating people the right way? Are you putting the work in, like Coach said over here? You can't cheat the process. The rappers and the athletes you see on TV, it was tons of hours that they put in work before they got to showcase their talent. They were consistent. They put the work in. They went to sleep. They listened to their parents. They didn't break the law. They went to school and things like that. And that's trying to help them understand the importance of consistency at a young age. I often say you have no control over how your your book starts, but at some point you get to write your chapters, and you have the ability to finish your book. At what age are you going to start writing your book? And that's why I try and help kids understand.
I always tell people, you don't see the yard work, but you just see the flowers. So a lot of people, they don't see the yard work. They don't see the people in the gym every day. They don't see the people going to bed at night, eating right, doing all the things, reading books, ingesting the right things into their body before the game. A lot of us fans, I'm a fan now just like everybody else, we only see games. And so when you come to a game, you see LeBron James, Steph Curry, he's shooting threes without even looking, but you don't know how many hours it took for him to get to that point. And so a lot of people want to skip steps, go from A to D to G, and you can't skip steps. And so you got to put that yard work in.
We're talking hard work. What about the fun though? What about the fun in the game? How do you guys make sure they're having fun in the game while you're still mentoring them through this hard work?
Because you got to tap into the love of the game. So I always say there's players who just play the game, and there's players who just love the game. And you got to tap into the love of the game, because everybody has a different path. No two pathways are the same. And so just because I travel this way and you travel this way, well, at the end of the day, let's find a way that you love it, and it's a passion for you.
And my thing is, a lot of people don't love the game. And we're dealing with a lot of kids, and I'm dealing with some now, but my thing is making sure they respect it. Because the game can take you I'm like my brother Juby would be the first one to tell you, I didn't love the game, but it took him, and he went overseas for 12 years, and because he respected the game, and it changed his life. It changed his life financially, you know what I'm saying, just because of the respect of it. So I'm telling I'm coaching kids right now who don't love the game, but respect what it can do for you, respect where it can take you, and it can also change your life.
When we talk about work, you say, where's the fun? It's fun when you make shots. It's fun when you win it, when you go out there and you can execute the things that you work on. That, to me, that's where the fun comes in. You have to put the work in first so you can enjoy that work. When you enjoy the work, that's going to be winning games, making shots, dunking on people. That's the fun part. But if you don't put the work in, you're never going to get to the fun, because it's always going to hurt.
I read something years ago that said it's discipline, not desire, that determines your destiny. And I think that's very important with young kids. I think they have the desire to be great, but do you have the discipline to show up? You ask if it's fun. Most people do what they enjoy until they do what they have to do. At a young age, I don't believe kids are forced to do these things. I think they're choosing to do them. And if you're choosing to do them, I'm just showing you how to do it and do it the right way, because it's life lessons learned. You may not be having fun working out or coming to practice, but when it translates to work and you're used to getting up and working, and you have a regiment and you have to provide for your family, you learned that a long time ago. So you may not be having fun in the moment, but fun may come down the road.
It's like planting the seed. You got to plant that seed, and let it grow. And I think a lot of kids are missing that process. It all ties back into the process. You got to plant that seed and let it grow. You got to water. You got to make sure it gets sunlight. And that's the same thing what you're saying. And all you guys are saying,
I think for us as being mentors, you're really taking a role of some parents that have the inability or the opportunity not to be there. So I think you have to understand in being mentors, and if you're accepting that role, you're always a mentor. It's not something that you can cut on and off. Somebody's always watching you. You always have to lead by example. It's one of those things, once you accept and shoulder, it's one of those things you could be helping a kid this week, and some changes, it may be 2 or 3 years down the road, you're still going to be that mentor or that coach, and when he see you, it's going to take them right back. You know what I mean? So I think you have to understand what you're getting into when you become a coach or a mentor and some of those things.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, when you're a mentor to the game, you're a coach, you become almost like a family figure to them, right? How do you balance that while still trying to stay, in your coaching role, but you're a big part of these kids' lives?
You have to draw boundaries. My father-in-law always tell me, a river without boundaries is a swamp, and nothing can survive in a swamp. But a river with boundaries, there's been cities, there's been foundations, there's been countries started just off rivers because of the boundaries. So you got to set boundaries in all your relationships, regardless of if they're your friends, They're your coaches. They're your wives. You got to set boundaries and tell them certain things. Hey, I don't like this. Hey, you can't do this. This, hey, don't, like kids come in, coach, I had a girl. I don't want to hear nothing about no girls, what you did, who you was with. Don't tell me anything about that. That's not nothing that I need to know. You know, so you have to draw those boundaries. Like, I'm here to love you, I'm here to help you, but there's also some things that we cannot and will not discuss because of those boundaries.
I think you hit the nail on the head. He just wrapped it up. You got to set boundaries. Right. You're right.
And kids thrive in boundaries. They want to be led. They want to have boundaries. They want discipline. You know what I mean? And now whether they know it or not, but they don't understand how much they can thrive in it when people put them in a position to be successful and try and nurture them and watch over them. Unfortunately, a lot of the kids that we work with had to do them things themselves. They've grown up taking care of themselves. They don't know how to allow somebody to watch over them and help them or guide them.
And let me add to this too. A lot of kids don't have people that's going to be honest with them. You know, you got people here that's going to stroke your egos because, you know, I've run into instances where I got really good players and they're used to their egos being stroked. So what happens, you know, their egos are so big, they think they know everything. And you can't tell them anything. And life is fake to them. But as coaches, as mentors, you know, I was a college coach 15 years. The biggest thing was be honest. No matter what it is, as they say, you got to keep it 100.
Kids respect that, man.
Yeah.
They respect that.
They respect that.
I kind of keep it to 100.
Yeah,
I don't know if they like
know.
that. Yeah, I don't know if my kids enjoy that too much,
But they won't
But
appreciate
they
it
respect
until they
you
run
for
into
that.
somebody
Yeah.
that's
They
not
respect
telling
you.
them.
That's true.
the truth.
You know,
Yeah.
when something's out of pocket, they gonna come
When
to
I
you
tell them
first.
they playing good or they doing this good or they doing bad, they know it's true. So I can live with that, you know. But
I would like to also add that some coaches and mentors need to have some sort of prerequisite because a lot of people are jumping in these kids' lives and not knowing which way to lead them and not knowing how to talk to them and actually being counterproductive in these kids' lives. So I think there need to be some sort of prerequisite to be some kind of coach or something because a lot of these people jump in kids' life and lead them in the wrong direction and they're worse off than when they found them.
And even to piggyback on that, that's one of the biggest things, like in Chicago. I call them street agents. You know, let me latch on to the hottest thing. Let me see what I can get out of it, and let me give advice that's going to benefit me rather than the kid. And I think that's the biggest problem, not only just in Chicago where I'm at right now, but in Ohio, in Indiana. People are taking advantages of kids and families because the problem is miseducation. You know, I always say there's a difference between school and being educated. A lot of these parents out here are just being schooled on the basics. Parents have to get educated. Kids have to be educated on everything there is to it. And that's the thing I think is really missing. And I say that not only myself, but these gentlemen here, we're not schooling these kids, we educate. And there's a big difference between being schooled and being educated.
Listen, we're about to wrap this up, but we're in Northeast Ohio. We're at the NBA All-Star Game in Cleveland, and you guys are coaches and mentors to these kids around here. People sometimes think that Cleveland's a football town, but we're a basketball city too, right? How do you make sure the next generation of kids has that passion and takes that and builds the next generation of basketball fans and players?
He makes it a basketball city. That's
Hey, he can't say nothing. He run one of the biggest youth camps in Ohio.
Well,
so, he got it well started.
That was a nice comeback. I like that. Oh, shoot. Definitely, I mean, football is king. You know, that's just being honest. But definitely basketball is great here. I think we're getting, the notoriety we deserve in certain areas. In some areas, I don't think we do get what we deserve for our college recruiting-wise. I think a lot of our players are underrated, but we do have a lot of great talent here. We have great coaches here, and it's only going to get better.
I just think that we just need to keep uplifting the kids, keep putting them on. Like, as much as we talked about how the hard work, but we have to congratulate that too. We have to put those kids out and let them know that what they're doing is right. We have to give them the love that they deserve when they do something good, because a lot of times they only hear negative things from a coach, or they feel like they only hear negative things. So we got to uplift them as much as we tear them down.
And one thing I'll say is that, for me, we need more positive people like these gentlemen sitting across from me. You know, you look in the state of Ohio, just around this table. You got a Mr. Basketball, state champions. I won a state champion. You know, those things you're able to say, hard work, determination, and sacrifice leads to success. So, you know, more.
Hey, my jersey retired. Don't forget that.
You know, so you know, you got great leaders, and we just need to continue to develop that.
Absolutely. I think everyone here has a passion for helping young people. I think our vehicle is athletics and the game of basketball. But honestly, I think I believe the game of basketball is going to live forever. I think that takes care of itself. But I think the individuals in the areas and giving kids camps to go to and opportunities to grow in the basketball field is what's going to keep the game thriving in Northeast Ohio. And I think you have coaches like Sonny, you have young coaches that's just getting started that's going to be amazing, like Romeo Travis, that's going to keep those things going. And we're helping the next generation and showing them the way to keep it going. So when they have an opportunity to give back, they can look back on what we did for them.
Basketball is forever. It's going to live forever, and we got coaches and mentors to the game helping make that thrive here in Northeast Ohio. So Romeo, Sonny, Willie, Jason, thank you for joining us at the Wilson Family Reunion discussion.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Game of basketball is in great hands. Great hands, guys. Great hands.